What's up, everybody? It's Patrick Kirby from Do Good Better Consulting. Welcome to another guest expert training. We've got a great one for you today. All you nonprofits that sit and stare at a computer all day and wonder why nobody likes stuff on Facebook, why they don't like your social media stuff, and you wonder why and what should I even post in the beginning, and how do I even reach out to people with all the cool information I have? I know you're asking that question right now, or at least you muttered it in the back of your sense. So I brought on today one of the more funny human beings I've ever known on the interwebs, and number two, one of the more brilliant digital strategists on the interwebs, Burt. Patrick, welcome.
Good to be here. Definitely, always love working with somebody with the same name. Like, Patrick's got to stick together. So,
That's what you do. All right. So you are a digital strategist. You're also sort of like the lead sales guy at is it Connected Funnels?
Correct.
And you sort of moonlight as somebody who knows all things in the digital strategy world. And I'm really excited to have you on because we're going to talk about three things that I think are massively important. We're going to talk about platforms and how to update your branding from a nonprofit standpoint. We're going to talk about engaging businesses. Why the heck should businesses care about your organization and what you can do about that? And then most importantly, we're going to talk about business-to-business connections and how you can leverage that at a nonprofit organization. But how do you do all that? First things first, let's get a little backstory on who you are as a person and how the heck you got started. Tell us a little background on you.
Cool. So, a little background around me. Oh boy. I grew up in Houston, enlisted in the Marines in 2012, did a lot of technical stuff. While I was in the Marines, I got into business, and one of my friends hooked me up with, kind of introduced me to sales, introduced me to marketing, and I kind of really loved it because it's a unique problem for every single business. So ran from there, rolled out, transitioned out, started running an online presence management agency. Just recently got really start digging heavily into ads over at Connected Funnels, and I'm doing my own organic and kind of sales assistance, kind of consulting on my own. So, and here we are, about as quick and dirty as we can make it.
Love it. That's perfect. And I think quick and dirty is really what nonprofits need. We've got a bunch of time that we need to spend with donors, and some of this stuff that we don't have the time or effort or capacity to deal with, which is organic and engaging conversations you can have with businesses and individuals on the interwebs. So let's get right down to the nitty gritty, which is number one, does your organization have a great brand presence online? And why on earth is that important, and what can we do to start? Let's just start there and work our way. Branding.
Cool.
Let's go.
So branding super, especially for a nonprofit. I mean, branding's got to be the biggest thing. I mean, unlike a business that I've worked with where you have to have your sales team, you have to put into your design or your product, your service, like a nonprofit, what you stand for and how people perceive you is everything.
Yeah.
So first things first, one of the big problems that I see with a lot of nonprofits, and I come across some that are just starting and they're really small. And I mean, that's what I really like to work with. I come across them online and I'll be like, okay, cool. Let me see what you have. And the biggest issues are they only have like one social media. That platform is not popping up.
Yeah.
It's not complete. So for example, you have your big social media, you have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and of course you can do LinkedIn. And of course you have other types of listings that you can do. But the biggest things that I see are like they'll have a Facebook page, but it's not filled out. So you have to have your page filled out. Not only will that help you appear better and pop up more, but if somebody comes across your page and it's not filled out, what are the likelihood that they're going to get behind the cause that you have? I mean, you have to show the passion and show the reason why you're into it right whenever they get on. So, I mean, you have your banners, you have your names, you have your usernames, you have, you have your about me. That's probably the biggest thing. Why are you doing this? You have that filled out. But yeah, what you'll want to do is you want to go step by step, fill out as much information as possible. Make sure that every little nook and cranny that Facebook or Instagram or Twitter allows you to be like, hey, you can fill this out. Facebook has awards, pictures, dates, when you got started, why'd you do it, like where are you at, all that. Fill it all out. Fill it all out. That is probably the biggest thing that I see just looked over, because like I don't.
And the best part about that is you've got a ton of stories as a nonprofit. You've got successes. You've got
Exactly.
where you're going to go, and celebrate it. We talk a lot about it's not bragging. It's just letting people know what the hell you do and why you're successful. Nobody wants to join or donate to an organization that's on the downslope. Like nobody wants to be the savior of your organization. They want to be right. They want to be part of this winning team. If you have photos of updated folks, right? Not just all black and white photos, but what are you doing today? What impact are you making? The banner picture has something to do with either your current clients. Please don't have a stock photo of like something you've probably seen before on the internet. The worst I've seen, stock photo with the watermark still in it.
Oh yeah, I've seen those a lot.
It's just ridiculous.
Oh
so pay the extra $1 for the real whatever you're going to use it. But it's such an opportunity to showcase what you do and how you're doing it now. And complete information, like how the heck do I get a hold of you? If you don't have a phone number, website, email address, or whatever, I'm skipping on and moving on to something else.
Yep.
You have a finite amount of time to deal with that. So that's really interesting. And so as far as branding goes, branding photos, do you brand, where do you brand in the social media sites, or how do you go about doing that?
In social media, of course, this is such a rabbit hole, but
It is.
And I'm not a branding expert per se now. But the biggest things that you have to make sure are you have at least your profile, your banner, your username, and of course the about me section about the actual business and branded for the business. Because what I see a lot is, and this might be a little bit more business, but I see a lot of pictures for like the profile and the banner are like work that they've done, or like it's a picture of the owner. Like, now, if you're a nonprofit and it's like a picture of you shaking hands with somebody, like, doing it at an event, that's a cool banner picture. But you always want to make sure your profile picture is the logo, because it's like that big. So
Yep. You need to have that. Yeah.
Right. So let's see. I really feel like social platforms are one of those things that are. And my dog is being annoying in the background, but he's like rattling around on the ground.
Mine's napping. He finds this incredibly boring. So,
but yeah, social platforms, it's one of those things where it's super easy. It just takes some time. You have to look at it and be like, okay, I have to fill this out. I have to fill this out. I have to do this. And again, a big thing also is consistency across all platforms. You can't have a certain logo here and a certain logo there, or like a username here and a username there. Hey, buddy. And yeah.
He agrees.
Yeah, he 100% agrees. 100% agrees. So yeah, that consistency is super big. And I mean, another really cool thing that it's not super crucial, but if you can, make sure that your username is the same across all platforms. So for example, my username, literally all my social media is PTRKBURT. That way, no matter where somebody finds me, they can find all of my other things. So that is a very, very big thing that I see a lot of businesses, nonprofits, organizations, companies, whatever it may be. They'll have like this, and then they'll have that, and then they'll have this version of it and that version of it. Yeah. But
well, especially in the nonprofit world where there's so many people who do similar things to yourself.
Right.
Differentiate yourself by just being that consistent person in the time. So you've got your platform all set up. You've got your branding that's actually set. You've taken the time and due diligence to fill out all of the things completely on the platforms that you're using. Now it's time to actually post something and engage.
All right.
So I think for this segment specifically, we're going to talk about businesses, like actual business engagements, right? So what are you doing and how are you engaging businesses to then get to the actual individuals who work at them? I think that's a really interesting niche to start concentrating on today. So what sort of engaging things do businesses do that we can steal from the nonprofit industry and use that technique to engage other people across social platforms?
For sure. So one of the biggest things that I've kind of noticed and I picked up on that I like to do, and I'm sure you've seen it, is memes.
Yeah.
So once, and it kind of goes down this. So you have to first identify, I mean, you know your purpose, you know what you're doing. So you have to identify your audience. Once you identify your audience, you do a little research about it. So for example, one of the big audiences that I cater to are veterans. Veterans have a very specific sense of humor. But once you get you know more about the audience and you know how to connect them, you know what makes them laugh, you know what turns them, gets those cogs thinking.
Yep.
So with that, you want to focus your content based around that. You don't necessarily want to talk all about just like, hey, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. Like you want to make it relatable so that if you do post something, hey, this is what we do, it's something that will interest them. So for example, like, and this is more of a business sense, another big community that I'm in is like gaming. I love PC gaming. So if you're in that community, you know that community and you follow it, you're able to, you can make jokes, you can make memes, you can do events, you can talk about happenings, like you can talk about all that stuff and they will relate to you because they also, that community tracks what happens in the community. So if let's say you're doing something, just popped in my head, the Semper Fi fund, right? Mm-hmm. So if, let's say you're a nonprofit all about like Marines and, military, then you'll obviously want to talk about Marines and military because the community that you're going to be catering to, the community that's especially going to be donating to you and helping you, loves Marines and loves knowing about that stuff. So some of the mistakes that I see is like those off the wall posts. Especially in smaller businesses, smaller organizations that don't necessarily have a lot behind them, mm-hmm. They'll do like political or like just off the wall and it doesn't make any sense. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I got to post today. Let me just copy paste an article, Yep. So you want to always stay within your niche and your community and what will make them smile, what will fire them up, Right. And especially in nonprofits. I mean, a lot of the nonprofits do amazing things in the world. So like if let's say you have a nonprofit that helps special needs, yep. You can talk about your events, you could talk about what you've done, and especially like in certain niches. I mean, my stepbrother has special needs. So like anytime I see something about special needs and like, hey, we did this to help the community, I'm like, man, that makes me feel so good. Yep. Like how can I help? Yep. So engagement and staying within your community is super crucial. And I see it messed up a lot because
it's consistency too. I mean, right. if you're going left and right and everything in between, you're not staying on your messaging and your branding. You worked so hard to fill out all these things, right? You worked so hard to get everything kind of up and running. And then now you're going to go and post about, hey, this Pinterest on how to make a salad sounds pretty great next to like what I'm going to do to buy a car. And then your laser focus is like you're trying to raise money for Special Olympics. Like stick to your lane. Like you can talk about sports. You can talk about these. You can talk about athletes. You can you can get a whole bunch of stuff in there, but stick right. to your lane for the consistency of your messaging. Like you can have fun with it. You can be energetic and enthusiastic, but just the consistency of your messaging is going to be crucial because if a business connects with you and a business wants to either sponsor your event, they're going to want to know what they're getting into. And businesses are smart and businesses are in it for money. There's this goodwill, right? But businesses are in for the money. And so they need to make a business transaction, whether they're going to get involved with your organization, which leads me to how do we engage business to business sales? And I know you're a sales guy, but I've been preaching this like nonprofits need to start acting like businesses sort of bit. And it's from my perspective is if you can get a sponsorship, if you can get a business to latch on to your nonprofit and you start engaging a nonprofit or you start engaging that business about why their gift made an impact to your organization, all of a sudden you get to bring some of the people who may work for that organization as your individual donors. And that's where you win every single time as far as the sponsorships. And a lot of people fail at that. So how do we engage? Let's just pretend we're a nonprofit business, because we are. How do we engage business-to-business sales? And what's the techniques that you find most effective? And how can we apply that to the nonprofit world?
So one of the techniques that I find to be most effective is plain and simple relationship building. So you have to focus. I mean,
Did you listen? Everyone, listen to this. We take about everything. It's no difference in the business world. It's just building a relationship. I'm sorry. I get it.
No, it really is. And I see a lot of people now. I don't know, because I may be mistaken, but there might be certain laws in a nonprofit where you can't just go like knocking on door. I don't know about that, but building relationships, especially. I mean, there's so many. I mean, oh my gosh, Facebook. There's so many networking groups. There's so many businesses, and especially on Facebook, one of the things that you can see is, let's say somebody posts about their business, right? You can click on their profile, get to know that person a little bit. So let's say you're a business about special needs.
Yep.
Okay. So, a nonprofit about special needs, and you find somebody posting about a plumbing company, and you're like, well, that might be an opportunity. So you click on the guy's profile, and this is on Facebook, or honestly, this could be on a lot of social media. You click on the guy's profile, you look him up a little bit, you find his company, you read about his company, you read a little bit about him, you find out that his son's special needs, and you're like, whoa, he would probably really be behind what we're about. Like, let's see if we can build a relationship. So the goal with this is, especially in nonprofits, every single person, unless you're just an evil guy, has something in their heart that they love to contribute to. For me, like Marines, military, special needs, stuff like I will always be like, yeah, just here you go. But if you can learn to essentially prospect your businesses and find businesses that can relate to what you do, that makes it so much easier. And, even in a business sense, it's like pitching. It would be like, let's say, let's just say I sell an online service that helps businesses grow online, of course. But, I find, hypothetically, but I find I would go and search for businesses that need that help or are looking to grow in the online space. So if you sell, or if you're a nonprofit that helps, feed the homeless, if let's say you find a business owner that has a story, and his whole story is, hey, I used to be homeless and now I have a business. You talk with him and be like, hey, we're looking to give back to the community. He would be like, I understand 100%, what can I do to help? So find the audience that you can build relationships with best and target those people and go for those. You don't necessarily want to waste time just like the good old spray and pray, because then you have a whole bunch of people that are like, well, yeah, I'll think about it. Or like, yeah, I want to do a nonprofit, but that just doesn't really click with me, So if you can find businesses, and of course, that's sales. You're going to have to do a little bit of research on your prospect, but you look around, you find somebody, everybody has something that is dear to their heart. And if you can connect what is dear to their heart with the value that you give, and plain and simple, I mean, that's a great relationship you can build that will last forever. Hey, buddy.
I think that's really, I think that's really interesting, is because I think nonprofits sometimes get into this way of thinking that we're a great organization and people should come to us. And that's not the case. Not one person on God's green earth owes you a penny, and they are not required to give you a penny. And so acting like a salesperson to actually engage with prospective donors or prospective prospects, that's what salespeople do. It's what you have to do as a fundraiser. You have to do some of the research. You spend some time, carve it out in the week to do some research. And because there's so much open information on the internet, you can find out who's connected even in regional areas that may not know about your organization. And you're not going up to them and saying, hey, listen, I found you on the internet. I would like you to give me $100,000. That's not what you're doing. But what you're doing is you're like, hey, I've got a great profit. I know this is your background. Would you like to learn more? That's your first step. And the only way you get to do that is because you did some research and some digging. And that's exactly what business to business people do. So take a page out of that and go.
Yep. Because so a little tidbit that I learned before I learned how to do that in a business sales.
Yep.
I would pitch to everybody. I'd be like, hey, this is what I do.
Yep.
And my conversion rates were like garbage. But then whenever I spent more time of the day researching the people that I would be talking with, but at the same time, on the flip side, that time almost always got me a return because I was pitching to the right people. I was solving the right problems. And I mean, yeah, it's plain and simple. It's something that needs to get done. You have to treat it like a business, and you have to treat it like prospecting. Because if you, and again, build the relationship, because if you can build the relationship, then it's not just going to be a one time, it's not just gonna be like, okay, cool. Here's $1,000, go away. Yep. It's going to be, hey, how can my business actually help?
I hope everybody in the nonprofit world watching this right now just locked in onto two very important things. One, relationships in any business is the key to go. And so if any of you hear that's the number one thing, and give them value, give them the reason why they should support you because they've got a relationship with you, not in spite of it. And the second part to that is you don't want them to be the one and done. And the only reason you're not going to have a one and done is because they have a relationship with you in the first place. It's not this sort of like idea out of the box, like, oh yeah, I guess I'll give you a couple of bucks, and then you never hear from them again because you were so concerned about closing this one thing that you forgot about why it's important to them to follow up about why this happened and this happened, etc. So that's really interesting. Number two, if you were paying attention and you are in the developmental disability world, or you happen to be in the vet world in a nonprofit, I think I found a donor for you. So if you were paying attention, there's a thing. This is great. And I think we need to really take some time to focus up on small things like buttoning up your sort of like your whole platform's piece. Buttoning up doesn't take 15 hours of time. It takes you just to scan what people are looking at. You click in the viewer mode, what's missing, and then just apply it, right? I mean, that's pretty simple. The other one too is engagement, where you're just trying to figure out how to make connections in the first place. So you're just trying to post things that are related to your organization. And the third is you have to act like a business and do prospecting the way that other salespeople do. You're selling an organization, you're selling a mission, you're selling an impact. So do exactly what you're trying to do. And it's wonderful to hear somebody who lives in the sort of business world and the tech world saying the exact same thing that we've been trying to get across the point, because it's the same. It's really the same. And that's the rewarding thing, is you're on the right path and it takes some time. And the other thing, just a random quick thing before we wrap up here, is time. To expect immediate results from all of this, insane or totally legit?
So let's see. Now, social and organic in the engagement side, to expect immediate results, nah. It will take some time. I mean, but what the cool thing about it is that it compounds. So just like a lot of other things in life, if you keep doing the right thing over and over and over again, it might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, and you're like, well, nothing's happening, but you do it, you keep going. It's like the gym, Yes. So now on the building the relationship side and doing the right approach, I noticed a very quick turnaround on that, because whenever I switched, so for sales, whenever I switched my mindset from I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to get a sale, to how can I help this person and, get them and build that relationship, I saw almost I went from 2-3 sales a week to, a sale every day, yep. In the matter of a week and a half. It was very quick. So it's a big mindset thing. You have to change your perspective of, I need donations, to how can I build relationships? Cause my mentor told me this. It was it's like chasing a dog. So, and the dog is money. So if you chase the dog's going to think you're playing and it just keeps running away. But if you kind of slowly approach and you stay and you get to actually, be with the dog. So, but yeah, it's a big perspective thing.
It's not about your need to have money as an organization. It's about the donor's need to give and feel good about it, period. And that takes time, and it takes investment of your relationship building skills. And the dog analogy, I am stealing that for sure, because it is so applicable to a lot of the nonprofit worlds, and that's absolutely brilliant.
And
okay.
you actually one quick thing. So you actually brought up because what was it? You were mentioning like a lot of the nonprofits like to sit and be like, well, people should donate to me, but the difference is like if somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, Patrick, I know you're a vet, and I know you're in the Marines, and I know you have some brothers and sisters that were in too. Like, we're doing this to help other vets transition out. Like, I know I read one of your podcasts or whatever. I saw something. You had a difficult time transitioning out. How would you like to help other vets? If somebody approached me with that, that would immediately let me know that they're serious, they love what they do, and they are taking the time to know me instead of just asking me for money. So
there it is. You just literally got a roadmap on how to approach people. But again, that works for everybody. It's because now people are concerned with your ability to help others rather than the size of your wallet. Right. And that right there, as soon as you know that they're not as concerned about your money as they are, hey, would you be able to be interested in this, or would you have a good perspective on it? There's an old adage in fundraising. If you want advice, ask for money. If you want money, ask for advice. And it's really like, hey, I love your perspective on this. Good. How else can I help? Cash, right? Unless you go, hey, I need some money. We're like, hey, you know what you should do is ask these 5 people. And It happens all the time, and it probably happens in business more often than not. And I think that's really to hammer home over and over and over again. That relationship, you need to make impact first. I think you're going to make a big deal about it. It's going to be great. Patrick, this has been great. And if you can believe it, we're already out of time because it goes really quickly when we talk about awesome things like this. But if people want help and they have a framework, they understand what you're talking about, but they need a little extra boost, how do they get a hold of you, and how do they get a hold of you? Tell me how they can do that.
So just like I said previously, the best way to get a hold of me is going to be on social media. All of my social platforms are at PTRK, BURT. And then, of course, I have my actual Facebook page, which is a little bit more not goofy, but that's at PTRK, BURT page. But, of course, you need anything from Connected Funnels. We do websites, ads, campaigns, funnels, obviously. All that fun stuff. I do organic consulting. I help with sales. I mean, I have connections for everything. So whatever you need, I can at least, if I can't help, I'll send you to somebody that can.
As always, we'll drop links below in the comments and begin the conversation. If you have any questions, let's start engaging people, and then we'll provide with whatever we need, and we'll connect you if you have a funnel question, a connections question, social media questions. We'll get Patrick on the horn for you as well. Thanks, man. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your brains, and that was fun today.
That was, and definitely thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys later. Stay tuned for, again, more episodes, guest expert trainings here. Do Good Better Consulting. We'll see you next time.